The church bells tolled like a death knell as Jude Thompson stood at the altar, watching his sister Emily exchange vows with Mark Reynolds, the man who had once made his high school years a living hell. Mark, with his sharp jawline and confident smile, had been the star quarterback who led chants of slurs in the locker room, mocking Jude for being gay until he couldn't bear to show his face. But now, as the groom leaned in to kiss the bride, Jude's stomach churned. Not just from the irony, but from the secret phone call he'd received last night, where Mark confessed something that could shatter everything. Jude had always been the quiet one in the Thompson family, growing up in the suburbs of Chicago where conformity was king. His father, a stern factory manager named Robert, preached traditional values at every dinner table, quoting Bible verses about family and duty while ignoring the rainbow flag Jude had hidden in his drawer. His mother, Linda, was the peacemaker, baking pies and organizing church events, but her eyes always darted away when Jude mentioned anything about his lifestyle. Emily, 2 years older, had been his protector in school, but now she was marrying the enemy, oblivious to the scars Mark had left on her brother. The reception hall buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses, fairy lights strung across the ceiling like a false promise of joy. Jude nursed a whiskey at the bar, his tie loosened, avoiding eye contact with relatives who still whispered about his choice. Uncle Frank, a burly truck driver from downstate, slapped him on the back. "Good to see you here, kid. Family first, right? No hard feelings about the past." Jude forced a smile, but inside, rage simmered. How could Emily do this? She'd known about the bullying hell. She'd punched Mark once in 10th grade for calling Jude a fairy. But love blinds, she said. Mark had changed, she insisted. Graduated college, got a job in finance, became the perfect son-in-law candidate. As the toasts began, Jude's phone vibrated in his pocket. A text from his best friend. "Jamie, you okay? Don't do anything stupid." Jamie was the only one who knew the full story. How Jude had come out at 16, how the family therapy sessions turned into lectures, how Robert threatened to cut him off if he acted on it. But last night's call from Mark was the twist no one saw coming. "I need to talk to you after the wedding," Mark had whispered, his voice cracking. "It's about us, about what I did and why." Jude had hung up, heart pounding. Why now? After years of silence? Emily's maid of honor finished her speech, all giggles and inside jokes. Then Mark stood, microphone in hand, his face pale under the spotlight. The room hushed. "To my beautiful wife," he started, voice steady at first, "and to the Thompson family who've welcomed me despite everything." Eyes flicked to Jude, who gripped his glass tighter. Mark continued, "I wasn't always the man you see today. In high school I was scared, angry. I bullied Jude because I saw myself in him." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Robert's face turned red. "What the hell?" he muttered. Mark pressed on, tears welling. "I'm bisexual. I hid it, lashed out at Jude to cover my own confusion. Emily knows now and she forgave me. But Jude, I owe you the most. I'm sorry." The room erupted. Linda covered her mouth. Emily nodded supportively. But Robert stood, chair scraping. "This is a joke, right? On my daughter's wedding day." Jude sat frozen, the apology hitting like a freight train. Was this redemption or manipulation? As relatives argued, Jude slipped out, the night air cool on his flushed skin. He needed answers, but the damage was done. The family secret exposed, and his world tilted on its axis. The next morning, Jude woke in his childhood bedroom, head throbbing from too much whiskey. Downstairs, the kitchen smelled of coffee and tension. Robert paced, Linda stirred eggs mechanically. Emily and Mark were due back from their mini honeymoon in a week, but the fallout lingered. How could she marry him knowing that? Robert barked. "And you? Did you know?" Jude shook his head, lying. He hadn't known Mark's secret, but the call hinted at more. "Dad, it's not about me. It's about them." But it was about him, always had been. The bullying had pushed Jude into therapy, isolation, a string of failed relationships where trust was a myth. He drove to work at the nonprofit in downtown Chicago, advocating for LGBTQ youth. His boss, Sarah, noticed his distraction. "Wedding blues?" she asked. Jude spilled a sanitized version. "Family drama." The groom outed himself as bi in his toast. Sarah whistled. "Bold move. Therapeutic or reckless?" Jude pondered that all day, fielding calls from kids facing similar hate. One teen, Miguel, shared how his brother beat him for being gay. "I can't go home," Miguel said. Jude's advice felt hollow: fight back, find allies, when his own family was fracturing. That evening, a knock at his apartment door. Jamie, with pizza and empathy, heard about the speech, viral on Family Chat. Jude groaned. Aunt Karen called it Satan's work. They ate in silence, then Jamie probed. "What did Mark say on the phone?" Jude hesitated. "He wants to meet. Says there's more." Jamie's eyes widened. Could be a trap. Or genuine. Jude nodded, torn. Forgiveness wasn't easy. It demanded vulnerability he wasn't sure he had. Days blurred into routine, but the undercurrent pulled. Robert called, voice gruff. "We need to talk as a family when they return. This nonsense can't stand." Jude agreed, dreading it. He journaled that night, pages filled with rage. Why did Mark hide? Why target me? But beneath a flicker of understanding, societal pressure crushes everyone differently. Emily and Mark arrived Sunday, bags under their eyes from the honeymoon that turned into crisis management. The family gathered in the living room, air thick. "Explain," Robert demanded. Mark cleared his throat. "I loved Emily from college, but my past. I repressed it. Therapy helped, but the guilt over Jude lingered." Emily squeezed his hand. "I knew months ago. We worked through it." Linda teared up. "But why announce it?" Mark looked at Jude. "Because hiding hurts more. I wanted to start clean." Jude's turn. "You ruined my life." Words sharp. Mark winced. "I know. I was wrong." The room debated, forgive or forget. Robert stormed out, muttering about disgrace. Linda mediated, but Jude left unresolved, questioning if acceptance came at too high a cost. The weeks following the wedding felt like navigating a minefield for Jude. Work at the nonprofit intensified, with a new wave of funding cuts threatening programs for at-risk queer youth. He threw himself into grant writing, but thoughts of Mark intruded. A text arrived. "Can we meet? Coffee tomorrow?" Jude stared at his phone, finger hovering over delete. Jamie advised caution. "Hear him out, but guard your heart." Curiosity won. He agreed to a neutral spot, a bustling cafe in Wrigleyville. Mark arrived early, looking smaller without the tuxedo armor. "Thanks for coming," he said, ordering lattes. Jude cut to the chase. "Why the call before the wedding? Why not years ago?" Mark sighed, stirring sugar endlessly. "Fear. I was deep in denial. Dated girls, played straight. But seeing you at family events, it ate at me." He admitted to a college fling with a guy, buried it. "Bullying you was projection. I hated myself." Jude's anger flared. "You think that's an excuse? I contemplated suicide junior year." Mark's face crumpled. "God, I'm sorry. I want to make amends." They talked for hours, peeling layers. Mark shared his conservative upbringing in rural Illinois, parents who disowned a gay cousin. "I chose safety over truth." Jude related but pushed back. "You had power. I didn't." Mark nodded. "You're right. What can I do?" Jude paused. "Support the cause. Donate, volunteer." Mark agreed, but Jude sensed more. A lingering gaze, unspoken tension. Was this attraction or guilt? Back home, Jude confided in Jamie over beers. "He's changed, maybe, but trusting him." Jamie, ever the skeptic, warned. "People don't flip overnight. Watch for red flags." That night, Robert called, voice softer. Talk to your mother. We're processing. But Mark, he's family now. Jude bit his tongue. Acceptance conditional on marriage? Emily invited Jude to dinner, a peace offering. The apartment smelled of lasagna, Mark in an apron. Conversation flowed awkwardly at first, then deepened. Emily admitted, I almost called off the wedding when he told me. But love isn't perfect. Mark shared therapy insights, how internalized homophobia poisoned him. Jude opened up about his ex, Tyler, who left because of family pressure. Dad's words echo, no grandkids from you. Tears flowed, bonds tentatively mending. But cracks appeared. At a family barbecue, Uncle Frank cornered Mark. So, you're one of them now? Slurs followed. Mark stood firm. I'm me. Deal with it. Jude watched, impressed. Later, Robert pulled Jude aside. He's defending you. Maybe I was wrong. A small victory, but Jude wondered the price. Mark's marriage a shield? Work brought a crisis. Miguel, the teen, ran away after a family fight. Jude coordinated shelter, but it mirrored his past. He called Mark. Need advice. How did you survive hiding? Mark shared coping strategies, then offered to speak at a youth event. If it'll help. Jude agreed, a collaboration born. The event was packed, kids hanging on Mark's words. I hurt people because I was hurting. Don't repeat my mistakes. Applause thundered. Afterward, a quiet moment. Mark's hand on Jude's shoulder. Thanks for trusting me. Electricity sparked, but Jude pulled away. Married man. Forbidden. Tensions escalated when Robert discovered Mark's donation to the nonprofit. Using our money for that? He yelled at dinner. Emily defended. It's his money. Argument erupted. Old wounds reopening. Jude mediated. Dad, times change. Accept us. Robert stormed off, but Linda whispered, he's trying. Jude's internal conflict raged. Forgiving Mark felt like betrayal to his younger self. A therapy session helped. Forgiveness is for you, not them. He journaled decisions. Reach out or retreat. A late-night call from Emily. Mark's struggling. The speech backlash is hitting hard. Jude visited, finding Mark on the couch, defeated. Online trolls, work whispers. Was it worth it? Jude sat. You chose truth. That's brave. Their eyes met. A moment charged. Mark leaned in, but Jude stood. We can't. Regret hung heavy. The next day, Jamie noticed Jude's distraction. You're falling for him? Jude denied, but doubt seeded. Society's gaze weighed. Gay man stealing sister's husband? Taboo. Family therapy was suggested. First session tense. Robert admitted fears. Losing my kids to this world. Mark shared vulnerability. Emily supported. Jude spoke last. I've paid the price for hiding. No more. Progress, but fragile. A betrayal loomed. Jude overheard Robert on the phone. Mark's not right for her. Too unstable. Plotting interference? Jude confronted. Stay out. Robert snapped. Protecting my daughter. Lines drawn. As summer faded into fall, the Thompson family teetered on the edge of reconciliation and rupture. Jude's work at the nonprofit hit a high note with Mark's involvement drawing media attention. A local news piece on former bullies turning advocates. From hate to hope, the headline read. But backlash followed. Anonymous emails calling Mark a fraud, Jude an enabler. You're destroying families, one said. Jude ignored, but paranoia crept in. Mark and Emily's marriage showed strains. Over coffee, Emily confided in Jude. He's distant sometimes. Therapy helps, but the secret's out. Friends ghosting us. Jude sympathized, guilt gnawing. Had his presence complicated things? That night, a dream haunted him. Kissing Mark at the altar, Emily weeping. He woke sweating, questioning desires. Robert's interference escalated. He invited Emily for lunch, sans Mark. Honey, is he really committed? With his history, Emily rebuffed. Dad, stop. But seeds planted. She argued with Mark that evening, voices raised through thin walls when Jude visited. You told Jude more than me, Emily accused. Mark apologized. Jude left, feeling like the wedge. At a queer rights rally in Grant Park, Jude spoke passionately about societal pressures. Mark attended, sign in hand. Love wins. Their photo went viral, sparking rumors. Is the brother-in-law switching teams? Comments joked cruelly. Jamie warned, this could blow up. It did. Robert saw the post, called furious. Parading our business? Shameful. Jude hung up, defiant. Internal musing consumed Jude. Journal entry. Mark's eyes linger. Mine do too. But betrayal's cost? Everything. He distanced, canceling a joint volunteer shift. Mark texted, did I do something? Jude replied vaguely. Emily noticed. You're avoiding us. Why? At brunch, truth partial. Overwhelmed. She pressed. It's Mark, isn't it? Jude denied, but her suspicion grew. A turning point. Miguel's family reconciliation session, Jude facilitating. Watching the teen forgive his brother inspired. Hate's a chain, Miguel said. Jude pondered applying it. Dinner with the family loomed. Thanksgiving approaching. Robert hosted. Tension palpable. Mark carved turkey. Small talk strained. Then Uncle Frank arrived, drunk. So, the bi boy and the gay one. Family's a rainbow now? Laughter forced, but Mark snapped. Enough. Fight brewed. Jude intervened. Uncle, leave if you can't respect. Frank stormed out. Robert silent, but later. You handled that well, son. First praise in years. Post-dinner, Mark and Jude cleaned up. Alone, Mark confessed. I have feelings for you. Always did. Suppressed. Jude's heart raced. But Emily. Mark nodded. I love her too. Polly? No, confusion. Jude fled, mind reeling. Confession a bomb. He told Jamie everything. This is messy. End it. But emotions swirled. Love, lust, loyalty. Emily confronted Jude days later. Mark told me. He loves you platonically, but more. Lies unraveled. No, Jude lied. Hurt flashed in her eyes. Don't lie. Argument exploded. You stole my husband. Jude defended. Nothing happened. But trust shattered. Robert learned, via Emily's tears. Disgrace, he roared at Jude. Out of my house. Disowned again? Jude packed, homeless temporarily on Jamie's couch. Mark called, apologetic. I shouldn't have said it. Jude. You did. Now what? Silence. Therapy solo. Jude unpacked. Desire versus morality. Choose family or self. Therapist. Both possible? A decision loomed. Jude met Mark secretly in a park. We can't pursue this. End it. Mark agreed, tears. But the friendship? Jude. Maybe someday. Emily filed for separation, citing irreconcilable differences. Blame on Mark's confusion, but Jude felt culpable. Family splintered. Linda mediated calls, Robert stubborn. Jude isolated, work his refuge. A food bank event. Mark volunteered alone. Eyes met, unresolved. Jude approached. How's Emily? Mark. Hurting. Me too. Regret thick. Winter gripped Chicago, mirroring the chill in Jude's life. Emily moved back with parents, divorce papers pending. It's not just you, she told Jude over phone. His hidden self eroded us, but guilt weighed on Jude. Had the wedding speech been a catalyst for destruction? Robert's stance hardened. Mark's fault. Ruined my daughter. He ignored Jude's calls, echoing past rejections. Linda sneaked visits, baking cookies. He'll come around. Praying for all. Faith a crutch, but Jude envied it. At work, Sarah promoted Jude to program director. Your passion shines. But imposter syndrome hit. How advise youth when his life imploded? Jamie urged dating. Move on. A blind date with Chris, a kind teacher. Laughter flowed, but Mark's shadow loomed. Date ended platonically. Mark reached out. Need closure. Meet. Jude agreed, a dimly lit bar. Mark looked gaunt. I'm moving to New York. Fresh start. Jude nodded. Good. But pain stabbed. Why confess? Mark. Truth sets free, but hurts. They parted, hug lingering too long. Emily's anger thawed slowly. Coffee meet. I blame society more. Pressures on men. Jude apologized. I never acted. She hugged. I know, but it stings. Sibling bond mending. Robert's health scare. A minor heart attack. Forced reunion. Hospital room tense. Families all. Robert wheezed. Jude. Including me? Robert nodded weakly. Always son. Sorry for everything. Tears breakthrough. Post-discharge. Family dinner. No Mark, but talk of him. He paid a price, Emily said. Jude agreed silently. Jude volunteered at a shelter. Meeting Ben. A bi man disowned. Stories mirrored Mark's. Empathy grew. A letter from Mark. Found peace in therapy. Wish you well. Jude replied. Forgive you. Be happy. Spring brought renewal. Emily dated again. Robert attended a PFLAG meeting. Learning, he admitted. Jude reflected in journal. Decisions define us. Mine? Choose forgiveness. But doubts. Was Mark's confession selfish? Debate internally. At a pride parade, Jude marched. Flag high. Family watched from sidelines. Progress. Yet a call, Mark back in town. Job offer. Heart fluttered. Meet? They did. Lakeside. I'm single now. Emily's blessing. Mark said. Jude shocked. She knows. Mark. We talked. She wants us happy. Moral dilemma. Pursue or not? Society's judgment? Jude chose caution. Time first. Mark agreed. Family reaction. Emily supportive, Linda wary, Robert grumbling but accepting. The budding connection with Mark tested every boundary Jude had built. Dates were discreet, walks in Millennium Park, coffee in hidden cafes, to avoid gossip. We're taking it slow, Jude told Jamie. But is it right? Jamie. If it heals, yes. But watch for rebound. Emily's encouragement surprised. He loves you differently than me. I see that now. Divorce finalized amicably. Assets split. She moved on with a colleague, happiness genuine. Robert's evolution continued. At dinner, he asked questions. What does bisexual mean, exactly? Jude explained patiently. It's valid, Dad. Robert nodded. Okay, as long as you're happy. Societal pressures persisted. At work, a colleague whispered, dating your ex-brother-in-law? Scandalous. Jude shrugged. Love's complicated. Mark's New York plans paused for this. Worth it, he said, but doubts. Am I using you to atone? Jude. No, we're equals now. A confrontation. Uncle Frank called. Ranting. Abomination. Jude hung up, blocking. Family pruned. Therapy joint. Unpacked bullying's roots. Mark cried. I was a monster. Jude. You grew. Highs and lows. First kiss under stars, electric. But arguments, Mark's jealousy over Chris. Old habits. Resolved with communication. Public outing. A gala for the nonprofit. Mark as date. Whispers but applause for their story. Inspiring, a donor said. Robert's full acceptance. Proud of you both. Hug shared. But a twist. Emily pregnant. From her new boyfriend. Joy mixed with awkwardness. Aunt Jude, she joked. Jude pondered ethics. Was their love born of pain? Justified? As seasons cycled, Jude and Mark's relationship solidified amid ongoing trials. They moved in together in a cozy Lincoln Park apartment, decorating with photos of rebuilt family ties. Work thrived, joint advocacy events drawing crowds, stories of redemption resonating. From bully to boyfriend, media dubbed, but they laughed it off. Emily's baby shower brought unity. Robert held the ultrasound photo, teary. Grandpa duties. Mark and Jude gifted a crib, symbols of new beginnings. Yet shadows lingered. A hate crime in the news, a gay couple attacked, reminded of vulnerabilities. We fight on, Mark said. Internal peace came slowly. Jude's journal final entry. Paid the price, loss, pain, but gained truth. Family vacation to the lake house. Laughter, stories shared. Robert toasted. To choices, right or wrong, they shape us. In quiet moments, Jude reflected on the journey. Bullying, secrets, betrayals, awakenings. But was sacrificing a sister's marriage for personal happiness morally defensible, or does love justify the means?